Bryant, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. Thanks, Jackie. Welcome. My name is Bryant Lynn, and I'm happy to co-host this Medicine and the Muse performance, which is a collaboration between youth organization Sikhs in the Spotlight, and Stanford CHIPAO, which stands for Communication Health Interactive for Parents of Adolescents and Others. For our regular Stick-at-Home concert viewers who might be a little confused, the monthly concert will resume next Thursday when we commemorate the one-year anniversary of the concert series. We hope you can join us. We have a wonderful program for you today called PPE, Parenting Playbook Experience Live Theater. The performance will consist of 2 theatrical vignettes followed by a Q&A with writers and actors. Our goal for this evening is to help cultivate greater empathy and understanding between parents and their children. I'm going to hand over the program to Jacqueline Genovese, Executive Director of the Medicine and the Muse program.
Great. Thank you, Bryant, and welcome everybody. And we are so excited to bring this program to you because my heart goes out to all the parents during this pandemic and how difficult it's been with the schooling and sports and canceling graduation. It's just been adding stress to probably what is the most important and difficult job we all would do as a parent. I also wanted to say a special thanks to Christy Hartman, our wonderful program coordinator, for connecting Sikhs in the Spotlight with us, and also for her wonderful job communicating and getting the word out about our programs and events. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our performers, and then we will have 2 vignettes, and they will go one after another, and then at the end we will have time for Q&A with the actors. So my first introduction is Dr. Rona, who is an Associate Dean of Academic Affairs in the Stanford School of Medicine and Clinical Professor of Psychiatry, seeing both outpatients in clinic and inpatients in the hospital, where she was Medical Director of the Acute Psychiatric Inpatient Unit for 20 years. Bright Zhou is a 4th-year medical student at Stanford who will be graduating this spring to pursue a family medicine residency. Congratulations, Bright. Bright is passionate about exploring Asian and immigrant mental health using theater, and his past stage credits include Manic Monologues, Stanford CHIPAO, and the Asian American Theater Project. Amol Singh is a sophomore at Stanford studying computer science and creative writing. Such a great combination. Amol is actively involved in translational medical research and is passionate about addressing health disparities and mental health in immigrant communities, leading him to co-found Sikhs in the Spotlight and the recently approved Medical Humanities Undergraduate Student Organization. JJ Kapur is a junior at Stanford majoring in theater and performance studies and minoring in psychology. JJ loves exploring the intersection of theater and psychology, especially how theater can be used as a platform for healing. JJ's desire is to bridge both fields of study, and that led him to co-found Sikhs in the Spotlight, youth-led organization that uses theatrical vignettes to shine the spotlight on issues affecting the mental health of Sikh Americans. Now, for our first vignette called Path to Success, starring Amol, JJ, and Dr. Who.
Harinder, it's been so long, my son. Mera bacha, ki hal hai? How are you?
Hey, Dad. I'm doing good. But wait, whoa, what's that awesome beach behind you? Do you have a chance to go swimming yet? How's the work trip going?
It's going good. Now that the pandemic is over, my company is finally spoiling me after all the years I've worked here. But that's a story for another time, son. Did you eat dinner yet?
No, Dad. I was studying.
Oh, you were studying? Beta, tell me, how did your algebra test go?
Which test?
You know, the one that you took last week?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, that one.
Okay. Are you okay, son? Did everything go okay?
Well, I didn't do so hot. You know, it was a really hard test for everyone. Like everyone did bad, not
I
just
don't
me.
care about anybody else, how anybody else did, who did badly, who did worse. How did you do, my son?
I got a 65.
Kya baat? Out of 70, that's not too bad.
No, Dad, out of 100.
What? Did you even take the test?
Yeah, I did.
So what? You drew a Christmas tree on the answer key? Were you just daydreaming?
No, I wasn't.
Did you forget to eat your almonds before the exam, son? They are supposed to boost your brain power.
Dad,
Oh, hi, hi. How can any kid of mine be doing so terribly? You're not a baby anymore, son. We can't sit down and read your math book for you. This is real life, and your lack of effort has serious consequences. The world is unforgiving.
I tried. You know, I studied a lot. I just think something's wrong. I need to study differently. Or I don't know.
What will that do? You're wasting your life away watching the Netflix, playing the video games. You know, even Jaga uncle said that his son aced the class when he took it last year. How is his kid doing so well and my son can't even scrape a passing grade?
Dad, can you please stop comparing me to other people? What happened to you not caring about anyone else's bad performance on the test?
You don't get it, son. All day you're looking down at your phone and don't take the time to look up and realize that your future is at risk here.
Well, I guess you hit it on the head. I'm not smart enough for this class.
Not, not smart enough? You're not smart enough for this class? No, I will not take that. That is not true. You just need to grow up and work harder. When I was a young gabru, I would study all night and then have to walk 5 miles to get to the station to take the 1 hour train to the testing center with no air conditioning and a proctor who would walk away around carrying a ruler and would slap your wrist every time you looked away from your paper. You have become too spoiled, son.
Dad, all you do is tell me about your struggles. But you don't even listen to mine. I'm not a baby anymore. I have real problems too. You don't understand anything.
Seems like you're old enough to be talking back to your old man, so you can handle this yourself. Go back to your room. We're done here.
We're not even in the same room. You can't tell me what to do from the beach.
Hi, can I help?
Sorry, who's there?
My name is Dr. Who.
Doctor who?
Exactly. I came with your Zoom upgrade. I'm a Zoom psychiatrist.
Zoom psychiatrist. I don't understand.
It's okay. You don't have to understand. I noticed there were some issues. Can I help?
Well, my son, Harinder, he's not thinking about his future. I want for him to have a bright future, and he can't get that without doing well in school.
Harinder, your dad thinks that you're not thinking about your future. Is that true?
I am thinking about my future. I'm working hard and studying as much as I can. Like, even when my dad asked me if I'd eaten dinner, I hadn't because I was studying all day. So my dad accuses me of wasting my time playing games or watching TV. It makes me really mad.
Dad, did you realize your words were making your son feel this way?
No, I didn't realize this. Listen, what I do know is what's best for my son. And I just want to make sure he's focused on school. He just doesn't want to do better.
Dad, that's not true at all. I want to do well, but it's just like I feel like I need help studying for this class.
I don't understand. Jaga uncle's son never needed any help studying for this class.
For the last time, I am not Jaga uncle's son.
Wait. Dad, hearing this reaction, I heard your son getting mad. How do you think it makes him feel when you compare him to other people?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe not so good. I remember when my father, my papaji, he would compare me to my friends. Yes. Okay, fine. It would hurt me sometimes. I admit it. But my father did that to help me do better than he did. And that's why I pushed my son to be better than I was, to excel in his academics.
I see. So you're doing it to help him. And
That's
it helps you when your father or your boss or your wife compares you to other people?
well, my wife does sometimes. She has a bad habit of doing that sometimes. Okay, fine. I get what you mean. It's not a good thing.
Is there a way to help your son excel without comparing him to others?
He did mention he could use some help with his math studying skills. You know, uh, Doctor Who, I was quite the math whiz back in my day at Patinda College in Punjab. Maybe I could help him make a plan to improve.
Okay, that sounds like a good starting point. Harinder, is there anything that you might consider doing differently about how you talk with your father?
I mean, well, I guess I got really upset at the end of the conversation and told my dad that he doesn't understand anything. And I guess I didn't really mean that. I also didn't mean to, lie about remembering when I took the test. I was just really embarrassed.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. Well, it's a good thing you both cleared that up. In real life, there's not really a rewind button, but with your new Zoom upgrade, we can do that whole conversation over again. Would you like that?
This technology nowadays is amazing. Please, let's do a rewind.
Rewind, replay.
Re-scratch. Okay. Re-scratch. Harinder, it's been so long. Ki hal hai mera chota bacha? How are you doing, my son?
Hi, Dad. I'm doing well. Wait, whoa, that looks like an awesome beach behind you. Have you had a chance to go swimming yet? How's the work trip going?
Work trip.
Nice moves.
Work trip. It's going good. For once, my company is spoiling me after all the years I've worked here. But that's a story for another time, son. Did you eat dinner yet?
No, Dad. I was studying.
Studying. What? That's fantastic, son. Beta, tell me, how did your algebra test go?
Uh, Wait, which test?
You know, the one that you took last week?
Yeah, that one. It was okay.
Just okay? Why, son, why are you fidgeting so much in your chair?
Okay, well, to be honest, math class hasn't been going great. It's just the last test was really hard. And, everyone did bad, not just me.
No, son. I only care about you. How did you do?
Well, I got a D.
Harinder, how did that happen? Did you study?
Yeah, Dad. Of course I studied. I studied a lot. But I don't know what happened. I just find the class really hard.
Well, Jaga uncle told me his son aced the class and you can't even pass the test.
Dad, why do you always compare me to others? We're completely different people.
You're right. Sorry, beta. I shouldn't compare. It is not a competition. Don't worry, beta. I will help you and make sure you learn. I was quite the math whiz back in my day at Patinda College. But I need you to promise me that you will put in the effort too if I help you.
Yeah, of course I will. I just don't get what I'm doing wrong.
That's okay. I've done poorly on tests too. We just need to figure out where the problem is. Problem kite hai? Beta, first tell me, what do you think is specifically happening?
Pata nahi. I don't know. I think it has to do with like my learning style. It just doesn't gel with the teachers. So I properly never learned the concepts in the first place. So my practice is just like useless.
What do you mean your practice is useless? I don't understand.
Well, my teacher, she goes through the material so fast that I can't keep up. She just races through it. She also lectures on topics that the textbook doesn't even cover, which makes me feel so lost sometimes. I can't even help myself.
Come on, it can't be that. That's wonderful that you were so able to quickly point out where the gap is. And lucky for you, there's definitely a solution. Should we set up a meeting with your teacher?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to figure out where the problems are, but she's really mean and intimidating. Would it be too much to ask if we all meet together?
ठीक है. I hear you, son. I once had a teacher like that before, and I know what you mean. I'll be there with you, Harinder. Let's set up the meeting as soon as I get back. No. Actually, you know what? How about I come back a little bit early?
What? From Hawaii? You would do that for me?
Yes, I would do that for you.
Thanks, Dad. No. There's one thing on my mind. I just feel like I'm not able to live up to your standards. Everyone else you happen to know is just like breezing through this class, and I'm
Harinder,
struggling.
you're definitely not the only one struggling. High school is a difficult time for everybody. I believe in you. We just need to make a plan and figure out the best way you can learn from this class. Okay?
Okay.
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 Ball.
Okay. Thanks,
Good.
Dad.
Okay, Bacche. I'm glad we talked. You know what? I actually have some advice that I learned right here. Hang loose, son.
Hang loose, Dad. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Mom.
Right.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Let me turn on. Oh, I got a new light. I got a camera.
Yes.
It's so good. Do you like it?
No, your camera's off now, Mom.
What do you mean? I can see you. I
Yes,
see you perfectly. My camera's on.
I think you need to turn on your camera. Okay, don't touch anything. Oh, okay, no, okay. Okay, now you're on mute, so you have to click the mute button, which is next to the camera button. Yes, so close. So close.
I don't know what
Perfect.
you're talking
Okay, don't touch anything. We're good.
You
We're
will be
good.
so proud of me. I do Zoom all the time now. And look, I put the screen, remember by the piano? I put it over here to hide all your books and even your bath toys. I can't throw anything away because last time you got so mad at me, you know? And so anyway, when are you coming home to clear this out anyway? Oh, I sent you something. You like it. I sent you a package. Tell me when you get it, okay?
Okay, thanks. What did you send me?
Ha. It's a surprise. But don't eat too much at once. You like it. Don't blame me if you get fat.
I won't. I won't blame you. I'm sure I will like it. Thank you so much, Mom.
But don't waste any, okay? Let me look at you. Are you eating enough? I hope you're staying safe. I can't even listen to the news anymore.
You mean you mean about the protests?
It's so awful. I mean, people breaking things, and who do they think they are? Black lives matter. All lives matter. My life should matter just as much. Thank you very much.
Mom, I don't think that's what they're saying. No one's saying that your life is worth less than theirs.
I couldn't even go downtown yesterday because they had this mural, you know? I had to go all the way around to pick up a prescription. Who does that help?
They just want someone to see and hear what they have to say.
Then they should say it nicely. I never got anywhere by throwing things and yelling. I've always worked hard and been nice to everyone. Why? What that face?
It's just that I don't know. You sound a little racist right now.
Don't talk to me that way. Racist? How could I be racist? I don't see color at all. I see people. I treat everyone the same. I am the least racist person. What?
I mean that alone kind of sounds a little racist.
So I can't win. I give up. Everything I say is wrong. Better, you want me to say I am racist? You want me to say, okay, like our family had black slaves in China? No, that's ridiculous. It is literally impossible for me to be racist.
It's not just that racists are one type of person and you either are or aren't, Mom. It's just sometimes you do kind of say and do things that are racist.
Okay, now I'm getting mad. What do you mean?
You know, sometimes the way that you talk or dad or even Ye and I.
So we're all racist now?
Okay, like that one time when you paid Guadalupe less than the white cleaning lady.
I paid her exactly what she asked. She didn't speak English. She was grateful to have that job. And you know, I was always nice to her. I paid her exactly the same, even when she was late. I never complained.
She didn't even have a car though. She doesn't have a car.
Well, I didn't always have a car. You know, when I didn't have a car, I had to be on time or I get fired. And I had to learn how to speak English. I pay my taxes. I work hard. That's why they call us model minority, okay? And I'm proud. Now people complain who speak English all their lives and they never had to take citizenship exam. What do they want?
They want what we want, what you want. They want to be safe and they want their families to be safe.
Why are you blaming me? And why do you care so much? It's not our problem.
It is though. This is all of our problem. It can't be up to the people who are suffering the most to be doing all the work.
So now I'm part of the problem.
In a way, yes. Again, it's not about whether you're fundamentally racist or not. It's about whether or not you do or say things that perpetuate racism.
Like what?
Do you remember Evan Heck Robinson?
I knew we should have sent you to a real Ivy League school. You wouldn't be getting these ideas. Evan Robinson, that was middle school. That was a really difficult decision. Your father and I talk about it a long time before we say anything to you, because you're so innocent. You make friends. It doesn't matter. You didn't know anything about the busing and everything. Your father and I worked so hard to get you into the best school district, and we wanted you to have successful friend. I mean, Evan was very nice. We were trying to protect you. When we said you couldn't be his friend, I remember your face. You were never the same to me after that. I'm sorry. I know it hurt you, but it hurt our whole family.
Can you imagine how the Robinsons must have felt then?
If you went to their house after school, their neighborhood wasn't safe. They might be ashamed of their home. You know, I can imagine. And Mrs. Robinson was single mom. Maybe she had a boyfriend who was, I mean, you never know. She never came to PTA meetings.
She couldn't. She had other kids and she had 2 jobs.
Okay, I can't expect you to understand me. But we did what we thought was best, okay? When I think of Mrs. Robinson now, I feel sad. I really do. It wasn't her fault.
Mom, have you seen the video of a man calling out for his mom with his last breaths? I mean, that could have been Evan. You can't see that and not be moved.
I'm not a monster, okay? Okay, when I heard about the video, I thought that man must have done something wrong. But then I heard about him crying for his mother, and you know, I'm a mother. I can't watch that video. I can't. So you're right. Maybe you're a better person than me.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we can all do more to be anti-racist.
It's not my fault. I mean, I never knew any black people growing up. All we knew was what we saw on TV and movies, and they all seem so dangerous. Well, not all, but you know, some of them seem dangerous, scary.
I mean, these kinds of stereotypes exist for Asians too, right? Like that's, and you know, you hated that unless people were good, but then even then they were played by white people, like that guy in Kung Fu.
And at least black people, they got some attention. I mean, okay, it was negative, but we were always outsiders. No one even noticed us. Like, you remember the time the loud white family, they cut in front of us at Disneyland? And they laughed in our faces and they called us names because they knew we wouldn't do anything. And no one would help us. Like we didn't exist. It was so humiliating.
Yeah, Mom, of course I remember. That was really, really painful. And it's kind of, it's not exactly what's happening to black people now though, over and over again throughout history. Now that we know what, you know, what they're going through, we can't just, I don't know, close our eyes again, right? My friend here, he got pulled off his bike biking back from lab one time because someone thought that he stole it because he's black. Can you imagine not only the humiliation, but the fear that he would have felt? I mean, Mom, people don't cross the street or lock their doors when they see us. You've never had to worry about me being pulled over or being accused of a crime. And this friend, he's the smartest, hardest working person I know, but every class he has to reinvent himself and prove himself all over again to all of his classmates and his teachers. that just sounds so exhausting. I mean, it's exhausting enough trying to prove myself to you.
Ha ha. Very funny. Okay. Oh, I should mute myself when I blow my nose, right? Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your friend. I would never treat him mean. Well, not on purpose. Okay, sometimes maybe I cross the street or I'm more afraid of a black man at night if he's not dressed well, maybe. Maybe that's why they all dress so carefully. I always thought they just really like fashion.
Okay, I think you're trying. I can tell you're trying.
I am. You can't blame me, you know. It's natural to be afraid of people who are different, okay?
Yeah, I mean, but that's what people say about us, Mom. I mean, that we're foreign and that we're alien and we'll never be real Americans, and that there's nothing we can do about that, right? I mean, but you hate it when people say that. Our our pain, it's not the same as Black people's pain, and more importantly, it's not a competition. Right now, Black people are going through so much, and we can't just sit back and just say, oh, you know, had no part of that, so it's not my fault. I mean, it's not helpful. If someone is bleeding to death, we can't say, oh, I have cancer, I have toothache. You know, you can't just ignore them.
Okay, you're right, but it's not so simple. You're too young to remember Rodney King. It was 4 white police officers. They beat a black man, and then the blacks burned down Koreatown. And the Koreans had nothing to do with it. It was so scary and it was so unfair.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we can't let it happen again. You know, injustice breeds injustice. And I actually did read about Rodney King in my classes, and I think we talked about if Black people and Asians had been allies, better allies, then maybe we could have helped each other then. It's what we're seeing now with all the anti-Asian violence in SF and Oakland Chinatowns, and seeing the Black community stand up for us against white supremacy. It's the right thing to do, Mom. And besides, no one would ever help us if we don't help each other.
Yeah. I remember the worst part about the line at Disneyland wasn't just the terrible family, it was all the other families
Mm.
who saw and heard them, and they didn't do anything. We were so alone, we were helpless. If even one dad or mom had said something, or I don't know, if they were afraid of the loud people, they could have just looked at us and nodded or something to show they saw us. They could tell the park officials at Disneyland. They could do something, but they all looked away. It was not their problem.
Yeah, yeah. And and we still got to go on that ride though, right? I mean, now imagine if it happened all the time in lines, in buses, in taxis, at work. Even if we're not acting like the loud family, we don't want to be like the people who looked away either. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't want to be like the people who look away.
Mm.
That was so painful to even think about. But maybe if I can keep it from happening to someone else. So, yeah. Okay, I hear what you're saying. It sounds like you're getting something for all that tuition we pay. Yeah? Maybe I learned something from you.
They won't charge you extra, don't worry.
Ha ha. Young people always think they know everything.
I wonder where I got that from.
I think I raised you right. You're a good person. I want to be just like you when I grow up, okay?
Oh, thank you for those wonderful performances. Oh my gosh, and such timely, important topics. Now we will bring our performers back on screen in their real identities. Um, and JJ, you have some dance moves, man. So great. Rona, I love that song that you were humming. That was beautiful. So if it's okay, I'll just start off with the first question from the audience, if that's okay. What should I do if a child says they want to see a psychiatrist, but they act completely normal? And Dr. Who, we can start with you with that.
That's a great question. If someone's asking to see a psychiatrist, it's good to find out why. Um, it's not a standard request, so this is a good time to find out why. Um, it starts with listening, and I think it would be natural for any parent to have a first impulse of saying, but you look normal, you seem normal, and to try to first listen. And listening is hard. I mean, for psychiatrists, psychologists, we spend a lot of time. Um, One of the things that in all of these vignettes that we do is that parents will often feel a little defensive when we're told that there's something that we should be doing differently. And so to start with saying, oh, so instead of saying, why, what's wrong with you? Um, to say, oh, um, why are you asking that? Or, in a nice way, and to make it okay if there's something wrong. Um, One thing that we know as doctors and as parents is that if there's something wrong and you don't know about it, you can't do anything about it. So this is your child asking for help, and you want to know what's happening.
Wonderful. And Rona, you and I were speaking before this, and I think you had a question you were going to ask our other performers, our students.
Yeah, I wanted them to talk a little bit about Sikhs in the Spotlight, because this is something that this is for Medicine in the Muse. This is their debut performance of
Yay!
and during a pandemic. So the original idea, I think, was going to be live, and this is still live, but live on Zoom.
Yes, thank you for that very generous question, Dr. Who. And I think the origin story of Sikhs in the Spotlight is really funny. So first of all, I met Amol through Sikh Student Association on campus. So we kind of met each other, and we're both two people who are very interested in the medical and health sciences and also in the humanities. So Medicine in the Muse today feels like the perfect place to host our first vignette. And how I got to meet Dr. Who was one day I was studying up on the East Asia Library Terrace, and I heard this buzz on campus below me, which for those of you who know the layout of Stanford's campus is Piggott Theater. And I saw there was an event called Manic Monologues in which Dr. Who performed. And I talked to Dr. Who after the event, and that led me to watch an actual live performance from CHIPAO, which, oh my gosh, was this incredible intervention that used theater to heal other people. And one of the ways it did that was through this beautiful structure of a version 1.0, which is a conversation that does not go well between parents and their adult children, in a version 2.0, where the conversation goes a lot better, and an interview in between those two versions. And when I watched that, I said, oh my gosh, our Sikh and Punjabi community needs something like that, because Amol and I are having conversations in our living room that are about what academic success needs to look like, what dating needs to look like. And we wanted a platform to do that. So we're really lucky to be able to do that here today.
Actually, JJ, your memory is including two significant things in one. We first met because of the performance of Manic Monologues, which Bright then joined later. But CHIPAO, you came to a performance in the East Bay when we were performing live for schools.
Yes.
So, and for everyone in the audience and Jackie and Bryant, or Dr. Genevieve and Dr. Lynn, the CHIPAO sketches that were sponsored by Culture to Culture in the East Bay, we went to different schools in the East Bay and performed live. And JJ was the understudy for the original Indian Dad, who was Dr. Shashank Joshi. And Bright did a performance when we did our first skit on, or our first vignette for Pride, which is now something that we are looking forward to doing on Zoom as well.
Thank you. We have another question from the audience. How to help your child who is being bullied at school. They get bullied but won't admit it.
Bullying is such an awful problem. One of the things is to be able to talk with your child, and if they're having some difficulty, there's different ways of reaching out. The first step is not to ignore it. So the person who's asking the question is definitely not ignoring it. Back before the pandemic, we were doing some workshops where we worked with the kids about things to do if you're one of the bystanders, things to do if you are one being bullied. And also, because we knew that in the audience, there were kids who had also been participating in bullying, either as the leader of, or one of the people who laughed, one of the people who looked away, who wasn't an upstander. As a parent, it's hard because you're not there in the situation and you can feel really helpless. And typically the child will say, don't talk to the school, don't talk to, you'll only make it worse. There's probably more than just one solution. And a lot of times parts of the different factors can work together. So some of it is starting by talking with your child. Some of it can be talking with another parent. And some of it can be talking with the school. So I wish I had like one right answer, but it always starts by listening and by not looking away.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'd like to combine two questions from the audience. One, where do you get your inspiration for your vignettes? That's for everybody. And then, does CHIPAO have more vignettes coming or in development?
We absolutely have more vignettes. We have some that we were performing live. So the question about bullying, we had one called Mean Girls. Although we should probably write one for boys as well, because there's bullying there. And bullying is addressed in part of the Pride skit, because that's often, that's one of the things that happens to LGBTQ youth is being bullied. We have, so a lot of these are available on YouTube when we were performing them live. So there's one called Parents Are So Embarrassing, which is one of my personal favorites because I was the daughter in that skit growing up, and now I'm the mom. So I was embarrassed by various things that my parents did, and then now my teen is embarrassed by various things that I do. So there's one called Unsuitable Boy, where my daughter is dating someone who is not Chinese. And JJ and Amol have two on this theme that I like very much. One called Secret Girlfriend and one called No Prom, No Problem. And they're very funny.
The beautiful thing that I'll just add, Dr. Who, is, we write these vignettes. I write them based on conversations. I see like Bright, nodding his head. I write these based on conversations that have happened last week, the week before at our kitchen table. And so the vignette Secret Girlfriend was written when my girlfriend was, still actually a secret. And now she's no longer a secret and in the audience. But what's beautiful is that the scripts get rewritten based on what happens in our lives. And it goes to show that we don't always need to stick to it exactly. But, these vignettes that we're creating are really powerful.
They're all from real life in answer to that question, from our own lives, friends and family. CHIPAO originally started with East Asians because there was a very tragic series of suicides locally that were disproportionately affecting East Asian teenagers. And actually, I suppose CHIPAO was inspired by parents who said, we started out by having a panel where we talked about, talk to your children and so forth. I don't think we had PowerPoint, but, it was the usual sort of telling people. And then a bunch of parents wrote in their questionnaires, show us, don't tell us. We are trying to talk to our children won't talk to us. And then we started doing these version 1.0, version 2.0 things. And so people suggested different, I think one of the very first ones that we wrote was called You Should Have Studied. And it's less than a minute, but it's just the mom asked me, my child said that he or she was stressed because they hadn't studied for an exam. And I said, you should have studied. And my child grabbed the backpack and, ran out the kitchen and slammed the door and didn't even have breakfast. And what should I have done differently? I'm a mom. It's my job to say you should have studied. So then we talked about like the timing of that and ways to say that, since the child can't study right then maybe it's more important that they have breakfast and, and then have that question about studying later after the child is back from school. So in that vignette, the last thing that the mom says in version 2.0 is, I look forward to hearing how, it's like, I hope it goes okay, but I look forward to hearing how it happened. And importantly, doesn't get defensive. The parent often has quite a job to do in both giving advice, but also being able to hear things that are often very wounding. In this vignette that we did, Bright very masterfully kind of pushed a little bit and then backed up. Didn't start right in with, Mom, you do racist things, but sort of said, and then kept, one of the nice things was that he never said, you are a racist. And the mom was trying to defend from that. I'm not a racist. And it's sort of like, it's not about people being plus, minus, one thing or the other. It's not an on-off switch. It's like, you can say or do racist things and you could do better. And so there was always this faith that, and then when the mom started to get defensive and say, like what, only then did he come up with specific examples. And you could see that they wounded the mom, who realized that she had done some things that were not helpful. And then he pointed out ways that she could really identify with, so rather than she might have at the time telling him and his friend that they couldn't be friends anymore, she might have thought, oh, they'll be fine. But then when Bright personalized it to think about Evan Robinson's mother, then the tears came, then realizing what she'd done.
Wonderful. So we have another question. How do you recommend that we as Stanford alumni and parents talk with our children about the potential pressures they may feel to get into Stanford as well?
JJ, do you wanna, JJ Amol, you're Stanford students.
Right, too. Former
Right as
undergrad.
well.
Right as a Stanford medical student, which talk about pressure.
I would first say that there are so many excellent schools that are not Stanford, and having unfortunately been not the person who can speak from experience coming from Stanford undergrad and now coming to Stanford Med, I do see a lot of my classmates at Stanford Medical School who had a much less, I think, pressure cooker experience in undergrad, and are thriving in so many ways that I am not thriving in medical school. And so I think that 2 points to that is that just going to a school that isn't Stanford doesn't necessarily mean, like you won't get into Stanford Med School. Not that that should even be like a metric. And the second point is just that there are so many great schools, and truly so many great schools that will prepare students to be really excelling in whatever that they want to do in that process. I think more important is having the security and safety from family to know that a student can pursue their interests or attend a school with full support from their family without sort of like a oh, you always could have done better kind of mindset.
My child is not going to Stanford. I won't say his or her name or where he or she is going to school because that would be embarrassing. But we're very proud of we're very proud of this person. I think that a lot of immigrant parents especially are come from a situation where success is sort of like a ladder, and where JJ and I have talked about this, and so many Indian engineers in this area went to IIT, and so they come here and they feel like they look around for the IIT equivalent. And then in China, there's the Dachau, and you only get to take it once. You don't get to take it again. And it's not like the SATs and then there's an essay and whatever. You're ranked very linearly, and so everybody at this rank is better than everybody at this rank, and so forth. So it's very much like a ladder, and it feels like if you don't get into the school, the Ivy, the shortlist, whatever, then you'll like tumble to the bottom of the ladder and never be okay again. And I like to remind immigrant parents that they came to the US for a reason. And one of them is that the US system is much more like a mountain. You can go laterally, you can rest, you can take different paths, and there's lots of room on the mountain. And when they're sort of like, oh, but we want something that's very selective, it's sort of like you can get higher on a mountain than you can on a ladder. So it's it really is. I mean, it's easy enough to point out to immigrant parents, you came here for a reason, and part of that reason is a more flexible system, a more forgiving system, and so forth. And that can be hard. The two vignettes that we did today are South Asian and East Asian, but we've tried to have CHIPAO expand to more groups, and address the things from each of the groups. And for anyone in the audience who would like to do a CHIPAO spinoff or join CHIPAO, we always want the vignettes to come from within the community. We have never done a vignette which is sort of like, oh, I bet those people think this way, or inside that their homes or whatever. So all of the details are real life. JJ and Amol are not in costume. I do a skit where I wear an apron, and one of my friends made fun of me and said, "What is that apron? You got it on sale. Did you get that on sale or something?" I was like, exactly. The kitchen implements are my implements. And what I did on Zoom today, I can attest. I have done that any number of times.
Along those lines, are there any books you can recommend about Asian Americans and academic pressures? Or if anybody's read any books that, even particular as students that helped.
Yeah, I have read The Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother. And that book has both received criticism on many levels, but also I think is a book that really, to me, illustrates how when you parent a singular type of way, which really follows the path to success vignette that Amol and I showed you all today, it can work on certain children in a way where it, they get into whatever selective school they need to, and they, live life perfectly, and it can really backfire on children where that just does not work with how they're parented. And so there also been, go ahead.
I was clapping not because I want anybody to parent like The Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, but because it was very honest in sort of, I mean, when I read Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, I kept pointing out to my husband, it's like, oh, my mom did that, and it's something that the offspring, the American-born or American-raised offspring, have to remember that the parents come from a very different time and place, and so things that worked at another time or in a very different circumstance don't always work as well in a new setting. And so the point of all of these vignettes is to look at different coping strategies that will work better in a new setting. So we try to make sure that parents know that their initial impulse doesn't make them a bad person. It's just this is how I was raised. This is what worked for me before. Why is it not working for my child? So if something is working great, then great, keep doing that. But if something is not working, if it's causing friction, if it's making everyone miserable, which the Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother admitted, then it's time to look at that.
And
books, most.
I was just going to say a yes and to that, which is trying to give a little bit of affirmation to everyone who is here already, that this is taking the first step in terms of wanting to seek out an event to figure out how to be a better parenting, learning all of these skill sets. Like that already says so much more than any one book, can give you a prescribed, pathway. I think it's really about exactly what Dr. Hu is saying, is finding that humility, finding that willingness, vulnerability to possibly get hurt by something that your child might want to say. I have to shout out to my own parents who are here, and they've been very supportive of me doing theater, and like I'm still in med school now, so I guess whatever. But I think that like just people taking that first step is your child will notice and will hopefully engage with you. I think we don't have to have one answer for everyone. It's just the motivation is intrinsic, hopefully. And so just wanted to give some positive affirmation to everyone for even being here in the first place.
And along those lines, there is a question: when is the next performance? Or is there a performance planned? Not to put anybody on the spot, but
do I hear an encore? Get back to work. What are you doing on this Zoom performance? Do your homework.
We would love to do another performance anytime Dr. Lin and Dr. Genovese would like. It's a great honor to do it here.
JJ and I are actually working on 2 vignettes right now, discussing depression, both directions, with a child who may be experiencing symptoms or a child talking to a parent who might be showing symptoms. And we're really looking forward to, putting these skits out. So that's up on next on our radar.
Bright's been putting some things in the chat with the Stanford CHIPAO website. The important thing to remember is that there's no dot between Stanford and CHIPAO, so it's just as he's got there. And then let's see. Oh yeah, the Yale, the Yale group has some interesting scripts, and it's funny because I think we just sort of evolved separately, as far as I know. I hadn't heard of them before, and so they have some wonderful resources. And then in terms of books, I'm reflecting that actually a lot of my favorite books are not sort of scientific-y books or mental healthy books, but but fiction, which I think resonates, Jackie, with you and the place of literature in medicine. So,
Minor Feelings by Kathy. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her last name. Hong. Yes, yes.
and
Good ones.
and one of the books that I like that includes a little bit about academic pressure is American Born Chinese, which won a Newbery Medal or Pulitzer Prize, and it's a form of a comic book, and it has this panel where it talks about him being forbidden to date until after graduate school, and saying, I chose your father because he had the thickest glasses, and thick glasses means hardworking, which means good provider, which means good husband. And so if you do well, then you will have the pick of any girl you want. And of course, that doesn't turn out to be the best advice.
Okay, and then one last question before we close out. Someone asked if the recording will be available, and yes, we will put it on the Medicine the Muse YouTube channel, and that way people can, and also on our website, and that way folks can access it. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Dr. Lin and say a final thank you and round of applause for our wonderful performers. Yay!
Really great thanks to Dr. Hu, Bright, JJ, Amol for a wonderful performance. Thanks for joining us today. Please join us next week. We'll honor the 1 year, 1 anniversary of our Stuck at Home concert series with the original lineup from our very first concert. In the meantime, get your vaccines if you're eligible. Support a local business. And JJ, I don't know if you can hear this. Can you dance us out? The best.
That's awesome.
We'll save more for next time. Great. Thanks for everyone for coming, and really thanks to the performers again and to Jackie. We'll see you next week, hopefully at our concert.
Thanks.
Thank you.